Keller Williams. And first 6 months, man, I was like, a coconut floating in the water in any direction, right? And man, I struggled because of that. And it wasn't until I found the right mentor, hired a coach, that I was like, I'm going to be a listing agent. I'm going to prospect for sellers. That's what ended up working for me. So that'd be an option. You could be a listing agent or you could be a buyer's agent. When you were a new agent, John, like, what was your goal, or what should their goal be, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, man, it's like you don't know what you don't know. So when I first became a real estate agent, I really didn't even know what the landscape looked like. Like, there's different brokerages out there and different brands. Like, why would I go to one versus another? When I started in real estate, I had already determined when I was going for my license that I was going to work for this small independent local real estate company. My mom was a secretary there, and I knew the owner, and he was just going to help mentor me and coach me, which is what I felt like I needed. But I really didn't understand what are the options that are available to me because I didn't know what I didn't know. So kind of what you're saying, when I talked to a new agent, and I just had this experience happen last week, I got introduced to somebody. They were almost through licensing class, and they were like, okay, I want to get into real estate. What do I do? And kind of like what you said, I said, what's your goal? And like, I really want to understand first and foremost, when I'm talking to an agent getting into the business, what is your financial goal? Because if I can understand your financial goal, we can sort of like piece everything else together. But if you come into the business and you're telling me, hey, I'm getting licensed next month and I want to make $250,000 in my first year, that's going to be a very different conversation than if you say, hey, I'm getting licensed. I was a teacher and I was making $40,000 a year. And I would like to be able to, in my first year, replace that income or get to a point where I'm replacing that income. That's going to be a different conversation. So in the example of last week, when I was talking to this new agent, they were in a situation where they wanted to make money, but they didn't need to make money right out of the gate. So that really altered the course of what my advice was to them and what options they had to them. And I always like to give people options and pros and cons because, certain options could be, AJ, do we join a team that's already in the marketplace, already generating leads and opportunities, and you can plug right into that? Yeah, there's going to be a higher fee for that. Or do you build it all from scratch, all by yourself on your own, maybe with the help and mentorship of somebody that's at that company that's either going to sponsor you like we do in EXP or a broker that's going to take you under their wing?
Yeah. So if we were to kind of break it down, like there's, we're sitting down with a new agent and we can provide them with like a menu of options of like what a good goal could be in terms of like direction. I think that would be helpful. And I like what you said, like if we can figure out what your income goal is, we can reverse engineer all of that and build out like a custom plan, both from what brokerage you should join, but also like lead generation wise. What type of lead should you be trying to generate? Should you be a buyer's agent, listing agent? So when I got started, I really was like, I didn't know what I didn't know. And then where I was like most agents, and I just joined the brokerage that I had heard about before getting my license. It was Keller Williams. And first 6 months, man, I was like, a coconut floating in the water in any direction, right? And man, I struggled because of that. And it wasn't until I found the right mentor, hired a coach, that I was like, I'm going to be a listing agent. I'm going to prospect for sellers. That's what ended up working for me. So that'd be an option. You could be a listing agent or you could be a buyer's agent. Some kind of just are like, well, whatever falls in my lap. And of course, if you're a listing agent, you'll also work with buyers, but you should have an idea which one you primarily want to work with, because that's going to dictate your lead generation strategy, right? So
I think that was, I don't think many people come out of the gate and they're like, I'm going to be a bad to the bone listing agent. And I'm going to,
yeah, they're afraid.
So I think that was cool that you chose that. I mean, a lot of agents, I feel like it takes them a couple of years and some transactions under the belt before they make that mental shift of, hey, there's much more leverage in the listing side. But if you're brand new and you're listening to this and you can find a mentor that can help you do that, you're going to find this business to be a whole lot more fun and exciting and scalable than if you're working with buyers. And there's other working buyers. I mean, I made a great career for myself working with buyers out of the gate primarily. I would say that my first few years in real estate, I was probably 75% buyers, 25% listings. And the listings were really, like you said, a byproduct of buyers that I worked with. But getting out there and understanding like, okay, what's a realistic plan? If you want to make, say, $100,000 in as a real estate agent, what do you need to do in order to make that happen? And what's going to be your allocation of marketing for listers versus for buyer clients? And how are you going to go about that? And we help people do that all the time.